Welcome. Tonight I want to tell you a story that still echoes in my mind. We call it The Two Sisters. I work in termite extermination. That day I got a job from a big client, a well-known business owner. He called and hired me to treat termites at his house, a very large, luxurious 3-story townhouse. I went with a colleague. When we arrived, the house felt too quiet. There was no sound at all, even though it was midday. We walked into the house, and as soon as I stepped through the door, I saw a woman standing in the corner of the main hall. She was extremely thin, her face pale like she hadn't slept in months. She didn't speak, didn't move, just stared at us silently. My friend and I glanced at each other but said nothing. We assumed she was the maid. Suddenly, another woman walked in from behind the stairs. She was well-dressed, cheerful, and greeted us with a smile. "Please go ahead with the termite work," she said politely. I turned back to look. The pale woman was no longer there. But I still felt like someone was watching from the top of the stairs. No sound, no shadow, no trace. I kept going back to that house on schedule. Nothing unusual happened. Except for one thing, a man, who always stood on the stairs every time I entered. He never spoke, never moved. He just stood there, like a statue. I thought he might be a relative of the homeowner or someone who lived there. I didn't think much of it, until the second to last visit before the treatment contract ended. The cheerful woman in black called again, asking me to come. But when I arrived, the first thing I noticed was her eyes. They were no longer the same. The once bright face was now pale, and her eyes were dark as if she hadn't slept in days. She still spoke politely, but the smile was gone. I didn't know what had happened, but the house was quieter than ever before. And the man who always stood at the stairs, that day he was gone. No shadow, no footsteps, nothing. I hesitated. Then she, the woman in black, who used to greet me with a smile, she stood in front of me. Her eyes were tired and empty. Then she softly said, "There's no need to spray today." I was puzzled, but she didn't explain anything further. She just stood silently as if wanting to say more, but she didn't. The air that day felt heavy, like there was no oxygen in the house. I nodded slightly and walked out, but just as the door closed, I heard something from upstairs. Slow footsteps, like someone dragging their feet, even though no one was on the stairs. 3 days passed. I got a sudden phone call. It was the woman in black, the one who hired me. But her voice this time was different. Panicked, trembling, as if she was in danger. "Please come quickly," she said, her voice shaking. The exterminator asked, "Where to?" She replied, "Here at my house." "And me?" He rushed to the house with his friend. When they arrived, they found the woman in black crying in the middle of the house. Her hands were stained with a dark, blood-like substance. Her voice trembled with fear. "Help me, it's going to hurt me, it's going to kill me." Before they could ask anything, they heard loud footsteps from the second floor. The man in the pajamas, the one they always saw standing at the top of the stairs, was now slowly walking down. He was holding a rusted knife tightly in his hand, his expression blank, but with unmistakable malice. Without hesitation, they grabbed the woman's hand and rushed out of the house, calling the police immediately. The police arrived quickly. They searched the house, but found no trace of the man in pajamas, until a strong foul odor started seeping from a room on the second floor. The door was locked. The police broke in, and what they saw was the corpse of a woman, lying in a pool of blood in the middle of the room. A knife was lodged in her chest. Her face was twisted, eyes wide open, and the most shocking part was, she was the same woman who had been seen sitting in the corner in the early days. She had likely been dead for several days, which means that the woman who was seen sitting silently in the dark before wasn't alive. After discovering suspicious items inside the house, the authorities took the woman in black, later revealed to be the younger sister of the deceased, in for questioning. At first she was confused, rambling, but under pressure she eventually admitted that she was the one who did it to her own sister. However, after a psychiatric evaluation, doctors diagnosed her with a severe mental illness, and since she lacked the mental capacity at the time of the crime, legal action couldn't proceed immediately. She was sent to a psychiatric facility, under close supervision. 1 week later, on a rainy night, staff at the psychiatric hospital found her lifeless body in her patient room. She had passed away quietly. No note, no signs of struggle, only smudged fingerprints on the wall. And one chilling phrase still echoing in the minds of the staff. He's still at the top of the stairs. After everything ended, the termite exterminator attended her funeral. He sat beside her elderly neighbor, someone who had lived nearby for years. There had been another murder in that house before, you know, the old woman said softly. It was a married couple. They fought constantly. Until one day the husband stabbed his wife in the chest. The exterminator listened in silence, then asked, "What were they wearing when they died?" The old woman paused, then answered in a cold, quiet voice. "They were wearing pajamas." The end. Television like horror stories like this one? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Beyond the Scream for more bone-chilling tales that keep you up at night.